Howdy. Have you ever thought of why Americans cannot simply go outside and pluck fruit for their breakfast? Turns out it's not that simple. Urban gardens face various challenges in regards to coordination, public view, and land usage. To better comprehend these obstacles, we must first recognize the problems that tree organizations face, the reasons behind residential refusal, and how land management is carried out. Burying seeds in your front lawn is not sufficient for growing saplings, nor is it sustainable for neighborhoods. Food organizations continue to expand planting and funding, although practical considerations limit their outreach. Growing urban forests requires close monitoring and extended maintenance. Once trees are planted, they require extensive monitoring for years before harvest. In addition to commitment, those who maintain the trees must have enough leisure time in the years after planting. Local governments may lack the means of funding for tree organizations, causing reduced interest from residents due to personal costs. There's a there's little to no government or external funding for tree preservation, leading to fewer trees being planted. In a study aimed at surveying residential approval of urban forests, the financial responsibility of tree upkeep was placed upon citizens. As a result, the experiment found that fewer residents were inclined to align with tree planting organizations. Even with volunteering, even with volunteers and funding, public's perspective on agriculture plays a detrimental role, and public opinion affects the expansion of fruit trees in urban areas due to limited understanding and consumerism. There is a lack of general awareness in the US on how to maintain trees or other crops. Um, After industrialization, most native crops were replaced in early US history, leaving a gap in knowledge on how to care for seasonal plants. And a recent study showcasing the efforts of tree organization efforts on communities found that people found trees unorderly or hazardous. Patterns of consumption within a residential area impacts the popularity of gardens. The report uses market segments to demonstrate the importance of recognizing consumer behaviors. Grouping constituents based on socioeconomic factors highlights the importance of residential interest on urban trees. With a growing number of people interested in high yielding, readily harvestable crops, many have focused on shrubs rather than trees. Not only is economic behavior important, but the types of harvestable crops plays a uh, major role in crop viability. Land managers are responsible for which trees and varieties are viable and their continued care, which affects the community's welfare. Ecology and managerial decisions largely shape public spaces. Their task is to make informed decisions on which and where varieties are to be planted. These choices shape communities and affect public health. Recognizing which plants thrive in specific climates complicates what kinds of varieties are harvestable by neighborhoods. Laws and liabilities cause issues with land use and the distribution of harvestables. In the 1950s, zoning codes were enacted to distinguish between rural and urban areas in terms of land usage. These policies limit the activities allowed within residential and agricultural spaces, preventing the expansion of urban forests. Lastly, hesitation from land managers is due to the liability of fallen fruit and unpredictable animal presence. The perception of equality in food distribution amongst the neighborhood also influences the discernment of land managers and the implementation of farming within cities. Let's revisit the core roadblocks and the underlying causes In summary, gardens face numerous drawbacks due to socioeconomic factors. Agricultural Agriculture in cities encounters constraints such as organizational issues, public opinion, and land management. I talked about the issues that organizations encounter with residents and funding. I showed how a lack of knowledge and consumerism fizzles out planting efforts. Lastly, I demonstrated the barriers management faces. If we want our cities to nourish more than concrete, we must rethink how we plan, and most importantly, participate.